Welcome back. Let's continue working our small shoe article project with coding challenge number 2. Just like before, we are going to use the result from the previous coding challenge as our starting point. Now, using everything we learned about the CSS box model, I want you to transform this page into a new design. So let's take a look at what we are trying to achieve. First, notice that our entire article is now much narrower. It's also perfectly centered into the browser. The width of the article is 825 pixels. So that's the first thing I want you to implement. Notice that many of the default margins and paddings have disappeared. That probably means we are using a global reset. So just like we learned earlier, start by removing the default margin and padding from every element. But remember, after removing the default spacing, you need to add back the spacing that we actually want. So whenever you see a space in the final design, think about whether the space should come from padding or margin. For example, if you see a space inside the heading that still has a background color, you should probably use padding. And make sure the button has the full width. That's one more important. Our button at the bottom is now much wider. It also has a margin and we have some spaces between here. So your challenge is to see if you can reproduce this entire result using the box model properties we learned. Take some time, try to code it yourself before watching the solution. And remember, if you don't get everything right, that's completely fine. The important thing is that you try to solve the problem yourself first. I'll see you back here when you are done. Alright, let's now build this solution together. And I'll start with the global reset that we are talking about. So I'm taking the global reset and giving the margin 0 and padding of 0. So this removes the default margin and padding from every element on the page. Now let's work our main product article. So this is the element that should become our centered container. So I'll go with the product, and here we give the width of 825 pixels. Okay. Now the article becomes much narrower, but it is still sitting on the left side of the browser. So we need to center it. I'm giving margin 0, auto. As you remember in the earlier classes, we have done this. So our article is now centered horizontally inside the browser. We have to add spaces above and below. Instead, margin 0, auto. I'm giving 50 pixels. So this gives us breathing room around the entire article, and the article remains perfectly centered. Let's work on our product title. Look at the heading. We want some empty spaces inside the heading while keeping the background color. This is exactly where we should use padding. So in the product title, I'm giving padding of 15 pixels. Okay. And now the heading has some breathing room around its content. Now we have to add a space between, below the free shipping, not in between. So in the shipping area, we need to add a margin bottom. So I'm giving 20 pixels. Okay. Now the space looks much better. Now we need to add in space here also. So in the H3, there is no H3, so I'm just creating here H3. Okay, now the class for this, details title. And here I'm giving an margin bottom 15 pixels. As you can see here, we have the space. So I need a space between link and the heading actually. So it is in the more info link. So even though if I give margin bottom around 30 pixels, it won't change. So we'll actually talk about the reason in the next lecture. As you see, there is no change. So I'm taking this. Instead, I'm giving it here. Instead of bottom, I'm giving top. So as you can see, we have a space here. So as you can see, the list bullets have been outside the container. We need to add it inside. Margin left to 20 pixels. Now the bullets point move inside the article. Now we need to add the space between these list items. So for that, I'm creating another main selectors like detail list, list elements. Inside that, I'm giving a margin bottom of 10 pixels. This only creates for the list elements. As you can see, we have a space between them. Now you can see the space between them. So this is called descendant selector, as we learned and used this descendant selector in our earlier classes. Now we have to style this button as this button is stretched from this side to this side and has a margin above it. We're giving the padding 15 pixels. Okay, there is a space between them. Now I'm giving the width of 100 pixels. Sorry, it's not pixels, it's percentage. As you can see, it is stretched from this side to this side, but the margin is missing above it. And here only I'm just copying this as a margin and giving it here. But for that, I'm giving only border top. Okay, that's perfect. And our shoe product article now matches the same design as here now, as you can see. So the more you practice this way, the easier CSS will become. And in the next lecture, we'll take a closer look at why the margin on our link doesn't work and learn more important concepts about inline elements.